Hey, what's up guys, it's Bakes and thank you for joining me for this episode of my Top 10 series. Today's episode of my music top 10s is actually a little bit different from episodes that I've done in the past where I'm actually focusing on the music and the songs themselves, but today I'm doing my top 10 favourite album artworks, which potentially could have been a really hard list to put together because there just are so many great album covers out there. Like sometimes I just love sitting and looking at the covers even when I'm not listening to the album itself. It's crazy how many good ones are out there. But as I said, this potentially could have been a really hard list to put together. But I'm not going to lie, I put a lot less energy than what I normally do with my top 10s on my channel, whether it's music top 10s or horror movie top 10s. Normally I spend a lot of time, really nitpicking where I want certain orders and making cuts of what's making the list or not. Normally I spend a lot of time doing that, but with today's list I just did the first 10 that came to mind because, as I said, there are so many. Potentially sometime down the track I'll do another top 10 list of my favourite album artworks because, as I said, there are just so many to go through, but I didn't want to waste too much time. As I said, I just went with the 10 that came to mind straight away. When I was pulling them off my shelf, I saw so many others, but I'm going to stick with this 10 for today's episode. Just keep it more lighthearted, fresh, fun, fast. And yeah, let's start off this list, starting out my number 10. So starting off this list, coming in at my number 10 is the album How It Works by the band Body Jar. Now this is an album I've listened to for a long time and I've always loved the artwork, but I only actually recently picked it up and added it to my collection, but that's a good thing because that just means I get to listen and look at this album artwork even more. Where to start with what I like about it? As a horror fan, the people on the front have always reminded me of Hellraiser, especially the first movie where Frank is getting his body back and he's all muscle and tissue and he's got his veins everywhere. It sort of reminds me of that. It also reminds me a little bit of Hollow Man. I don't know, just something about the bodies where they're skinless and you can see their veins, their organs, the muscles, the bones. I just find that to be really cool. Something about the barcode font as well is also really appealing. I just like the smoky orange background and the orange glow around them. The blue and orange contrast is also really nice. The album artwork screams early 2000s, but then again, the album did come out in the year 2000, but there's something charming that adds to the appeal about it. It's really cool. The deluxe edition for this album also has a really cool artwork. Instead of the orange, it's like a sky with clouds and everything. But as I said, I kind of like the dark blue and orange contrast on this album cover. So coming in at my number 10 is How It Works by the band Body Jar. Coming in at my number 9 is actually a pretty simple album cover, but still just something really appealing about it. Here I have the album Disease by the band Beartooth. This is Beartooth's third album, and the following album after this one, Below, also had a really good album cover that almost made this list. Instead of orange and black, it's purple and black. It's got this biker driving through hell, which is pretty cool. But this one, I just kind of like the simplisticness of it. The orange and the black, it just has this pop of colour being the orange. The guy's face with the snake on it. I love the track list being on the front to leave a pretty simple picture of the band on the back. The simplisticness is just what makes this album art work, and it's still so badass. There is just something about it that's always been really appealing to me. I'm going to keep this one short and sharp, so coming in at my number 9 is Disease by Beartooth. At the end of the day, I know it grows up with the you do the same. I don't expect it, nor do I question it. Coming in at my number 8 is the album Overgrown by the band Sly Withers. And I think I just realised I like the colour orange more than I thought because all 3 albums so far have predominantly featured orange. But I believe I remember reading that the band went to an AI generator and wrote the title of the album in Overgrown, and this is the image that they got, and obviously they dug it, I dug it. I think it is really cool. Overall, it's still kind of simple, but there's still so much to look at. Obviously, the main feature is that glowing orange sun that just sort of pops. You got this concrete city, but it's got like plant life growing around it and over the top of it, some floating clouds, a nice sunrise in the back. Even the back cover is also pretty cool. Again, it's just got AI generated images. Yeah, just a really appealing artwork again. Simple but enjoyable. So coming in at my number 8 is Overgrown by the band Sly Withers. Coming in for my number 7 is the album artwork for Nulla Vita by the band Grayscale. Grayscale again is a band that almost had another album on this list as well. Their album before this one, Adornment, also has great artwork. The old man's face is like an island with the white background. Again, really cool, but I do enjoy Nulla Vita more. I know I featured a lot of albums with the colour orange, but green is genuinely one of my favourite colours, and green is definitely a feature on this with the green wall, the yellow sunlight around her while the blue sunlight's coming through the window. She's rocking a badass fur coat. She's got this blue bra that really pops as well. Her mascara running while she's doing this dance-like pose. There's just something that's really appealing about this artwork. I also like the font that Nulla Vita is written in. It just reminds me of like a motel room in like the middle of summer or something. The back cover is very similar as well, just her sitting in a chair, green walls with the sunlight shining in. It's like oddly calming. There's just something again really appealing about this one. I'll keep it short and sharp. Coming in as my number 7 is Nulla Vita by Grayscale. Let the Ocean Take Me by the Amity Affliction comes in at my number 6. Now, you might be wondering, what's so appealing about this album artwork. And to be honest, a lot of my personal bias probably comes into play here. This is one of my favourite and most influential albums of my life. And I just feel like the album artwork just really encapsulates, what this album is. Let the Ocean Take Me, he's teetering on the edge there. It's a very dark album. Lots of meaningful lyrics and everything like that. If you know the album, you'll know what I mean. But him teetering on the edge, the waves crashing below these ghostly figures. I'm not sure if you can really see, but they're out in the waves as well. I just find this album artwork to, as I said, just really suit the album. It's really dark, but I also think it's just badass. This has always been one of my favorites. As I said, I just went for a top 10 list of ones that came to mind straight away. So coming in at my number 6 is Let the Ocean Take Me by the Amity Affliction. Breaking into my top 5 and coming in at my number 5 is Enema of the State by Blink-182. This is a classic album artwork. Everybody knows it. If I'm talking about what I like, I really like the bounce of the blue, white, and red, honestly. It just reminds me of one of those American popsicles where it's got like the 3 layers of colors. I just really like that. It like reminds me of like medicine and candy for some reason as well. You obviously got, I forget her name. I believe she's a porn star, but you got her featured on the front, slapping on the glove, Enema of the State. You got the band on the back, waiting for their turn, I guess. I also really like looking at the inside, you got everyone lined up, and when you take the disc out, I think it's got more people there, but it's a classic. I think no one's really going to deny how classic and iconic this album artwork is, and it's always a great one to look at. So coming in at my number 5 is Enema of the State by Blink-182. Coming in at my number 4 is the artwork for the album OK by the band As It Is. From the first time this album dropped, I've always loved the artwork for this one. I just find it to be so interesting. There's always something to look at with this artwork as well. First of all, it's amazingly hand-painted, or at least it looks hand-painted. There's lots of colour, obviously the bright blue sky. You got the pink on the spine, the teal, and that gets carried over to the back as well. If you're unfamiliar with the band As It Is, every album they like to sort of change up the vibe and the feel, and with this one they kind of went with a 50s, 60s aesthetic. I'm really bad with errors, but I feel like it's 50s, 60s. Obviously got this feel to it as well, the white picket fence neighborhood kind of vibe. But again, I also feel like the album artwork encapsulates the vibes of the songs on this album. And again, if you're unfamiliar with the album, a lot of the songs talk about how, things might be good on the surface, but below, not everything's okay. And that's sort of what we got here, this nice, beautiful girl riding a bike, but then you got this bomb sitting in her bike basket, and all the houses, they're nice and colourful. As I said, it looks like a white picket fence neighbourhood, but all the windows are boarded up and everything. I just find it so interesting to look at all the small details here, and it helps that, as I said, it looks beautifully hand painted. But I'm going to leave it there for this one. Coming in at my number 4 is the album artwork for OK by the band As It Is.
Pray to God, but he won't bring back the dead. And it was never love that you wished for, even when you were just a child.
For my number 3, we actually have the newest artwork on this list so far, because this is the newest album to come out. Came out earlier this year. Here I have the album Sunburn by Dominic Fike. From the first time I picked it up, as I said earlier this year, I've been in love with this album artwork. There's just something so cool about it. I know some people would say it looks messy. It's got like this sort of scrapbook feel to it, but there's something about that I really like. It looks like a picture's been taken and all these stickers and stamps have been stuck around it. I like the fact that she's got this sunburn on her shoulder, and I believe it's meant to be Dominic Fike's face. I'm not sure if you can really tell. I like this chick here. I like that she's got like these freckles, the white paint along her face. I don't know, there's just something that I really like about it. I know we're talking about album artworks, but if you turn this a full 360, I like the bright yellow spine. I love when spines are just one color. I don't know, there's something that I really like about it. But then I also really love the back. Like, it's super basic. All it is like, a picture of a lake in like the summertime. The water's glistening off, but then it's got like this, again, sticker of like a alligator sitting in there as well. I don't know, there's just something that I really dig about it. It just screams like summertime. It's just really cool, chill. I just really like the artwork for this one, and as I said, it's the newest one on this list so far, but I'm sure I'm going to love it for a long time. So coming in at my number 3 is Sunburn by Dominic Fike. Now, I know I said in my intro I didn't put a lot of thought into this list. I just did the first 10 albums that sort of came to mind. But this one and my number 1 are lock-in for my favourite album artworks for all time. But while we're on this one, here I have Life's Not Out to Get You by the band Neck Deep. Not only is this one of my favourite albums to listen to for all time, as I said, the album artwork, I just fucking love it. The style, first of all, it just reminds me of like the pictures that I would draw when I was a little kid with the markers and, nice and bright and whatever. Obviously, I can't draw as good. I forget the artist's name, the guy that does these drawings, but he sort of has his signature style where a lot of things have multiple eyes and fire and everything. He's done a lot of artwork for different artists and bands in the past as well, but there's just so much cool things to look at with this album artwork, and a lot of the imagery actually relates to the songs on the album. There's snakes on there, there's a song called Serpents, there's, lyrics about moving mountains and everything, there's mountains there. Beaches for Lovers, Not Lonely Losers is a song, and you got, beaches on the back here, and while we're on the back, if you actually have a look, it's sort of, you got all the songs here, but it's mapped out like a treasure map. I don't know, there's just something that I've always really loved about it. There's just constantly things to look at with this album artwork, and as I said, it also helps that it's one of my favourite albums of all time. So coming in at my number 2 is Life's Not Out to Get You by Neck Deep. And coming in at my number 1, my favourite album artwork of all time. I've loved it from the first time I ever saw it. Here I have the album Chemical Miracle by the band Trophy Eyes. As I said, from the first time I picked up this album, I was like, wow, this album artwork is beautiful. It's like this beautiful painting of a girl, presumably swimming in a pool. It could be an ocean or whatever, but there's songs like Chlorine and everything, and so I presume it's a pool, but man, there is just something about this artwork I love. First of all, I love when bands don't put the title of the album or their band logo on the front. It's not like a big hatred, but I love when they take it away and you can just fully enjoy the album artwork. And That's what I do every time I pick up this album. I would just love to have a big poster or wall flag of this album artwork. And I remember I saw one online years ago, and then I just never saw it again. I regret not picking it up, but I just love to have this painting on my wall or something. It is just so fucking cool. I don't know the artist who painted it or whatever, so if you know in the comments, let me know. But I've just always thought that this album artwork is just beautiful. Not like blue is my favorite color or anything. As I said, I really like green, I really like purple, I really like black. But there's just something about it. Every time I look at it, it pops. It captures my eye. Yeah, I just love this album artwork. As I said, it's my favorite of all time. As I said in my intro and just a little time before, this list, I didn't put a lot of thought into it. I just sort of went with the ones that, came to mind right away. But no way I was not going to have this at my number one, because every time I talk to people about favorite album artworks, this is the one I bring up straight away. So coming in at my number one, Chemical Miracle by the band Trophy Eyes. So there we go, guys. Thank you for watching this top 10 list, and feel free to let me know some of your favorite album artworks in the comments below, or let me know any of the ones that I showed off in this video today that caught your eye and you think are pretty cool as well. A little part of me just wants to list a shit ton of albums that could have made this list as well, but as I said, in the future I might need to make a part 2 to this top 10 and, list another 10 that I also really enjoy, because as I said, I want to say some more, but, might as well just make another list. But thank you for joining me for this top 10, guys. Again, let me know some of your favorite album artworks, and I'll see you for another video sometime down the track. Thanks, guys.